Welcome, everybody, to our Shenandoah Esports Arena live from Winchester, Virginia, where we are hosting our first broadcasted Mario Kart tournament on behalf of our esports event management class. I'm Chris Clayton, joined alongside Avery Giesemann and Brennan Moss. We've got an exciting TriCast here tonight to cover all the action for you, as this is a first for us. This is a first for me. I've played in Mario Kart tournaments in my life, but I've never actually casted over one.
Do you have any Mario Kart accolades, Chris? You have to flex for the audience real quick?
No, I've got a couple, 7th place finishes.
Maybe a 23rd or two in Mario Kart World. But
Exactly.
No world for us today. Hopping into Mario Kart 8 for our first race of the day, already kicking it off on the Electrodome.
Yeah, getting things underway here as we hop right into the action here. We have, I believe, 11 players throughout our Shenandoah University campus, all esports students or non-esports students, all walks of life here, coming to compete and showcase their talents in Mario Kart 8 here. Important distinction, if anybody's been practicing the newest rendition of Mario Kart, this is not it. But in my opinion, the superior Mario Kart on our screen right now. I said it. I will stand by it. I will take any arguments after the stream.
Yeah, I was taking some thoughts on the different likabilities of the Mario Kart games on the field tonight, and what I heard is that Mario Kart 8 is superior because of its skill in drifting that a lot of people felt like that got taken away in Mario Kart World, whereas Mario Kart World has a lot more fancier tech that may have made the skill ceiling a bit too high for some casual players. So, as you said, Chris, we have a lot of different levels of esports athletes here tonight, and some of which you may not compete in other games, but are very high level at Mario Kart, as you did have to qualify to be here today.
Yeah, and honestly, I think I'm going to side of Mario Kart 8 just simply because it has Coconut Mall and World doesn't. So,
I mean, that is one of the more valid arguments I've heard about the Mario Kart debates. But as we round this final turn from Baby Mario here on lap 2, I should call out we have 4 different players here on 4 different characters. It's my understanding that we won't see any repeat characters. So as we see these characters, you can sort of start to assign players to their characters, and this Baby Mario player in firm control right now, I might add. Well, maybe not firm control, closely followed by, is that Iggy? Do I have him right?
Yes, that's Iggy.
There we go.
Yeah, got Iggy on the field. We got Bowser Jr. and Blue Yoshi. A lot of these smaller characters are going to be sort of the meta in Mario Kart 8. They're able to accelerate out of getting hit a lot faster, and generally the bigger characters a lot stronger in Mario Kart Wii, where it was a bit more important to knock your opponent off the map. So these smaller characters a bit more agile in this game.
yeah, and it's also important to note, on the Baby Mario, we have Isaiah, who did qualify with the fastest time from the qualifiers before the tournament today, with a time of, I believe, 5:17.
Yeah, showcasing why he had the fastest time, but quickly stolen right there at the end by Jonah with a first-place finish. Now, probably a good time to explain our format here, as these 4 players will play just a Grand Prix of 4 races. They may not all be in the same cup. If you are familiar with Mario Kart, right, we will, I believe, be pulling 4 different races from 4 different cups. But each Grand Prix comprised of 4 races. Each group will only play 1 Grand Prix, and we have 3 different groups to start, and they will slowly make their way through a bracket. We'll get deeper in that once we get there, but 4 races awaiting these players on your screen, 1 now behind them with Jonah taking a first-place finish.
Yeah, this initial group stage, you have to finish in the top half. So you don't have to be the best racer on the field, but you do have to be in that top 2 spot in order to move on to the next round. So that's what these guys are fighting for in this first round here of 3 Grand Prix total.
Yeah, and honestly, what we just saw was kind of an upset. I mentioned before, Isaiah had qualified with the fastest time. Jonah came in at the 6th seed.
Oh, wow.
Between the 11 players we have today.
Yeah, so lot to look out for here as these players start to make statements for themselves beyond their qualifying performances as we move to Mute City here, a map completely based around your own speed and how you can handle fast-paced Mario Kart. We'll see which of these players is able to handle it better than the others.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see just how much the item play comes into effect. I'm sure you've noticed so far that we don't have any bots in the lobby, and although sometimes the computers in this game don't necessarily compete with you in terms of just raw racing, sometimes the fact that they can just throw items on the field can really throw a wrench into things. Things like blooper, things like shocks, things like even bullet bills to an extent. So the fact that there's just less items on play may even make the competition even more skill-based in this match, as we just see Bowser Jr. there getting a blue shell in 3rd place. Something you would never see in a 12-person race is certainly a factor here in this 4-person race, where items play a much different role.
Yeah, and something I want to point out too is that, it can affect how you build your car as well. Something that this is my own personal preference, but something that I tend to do when I'm playing a 12-person race in Mario Kart 8 is I lean more so into acceleration than other stats, because there are 12 people worth of items that you can be hit by. This now is no longer the case. With only 4 people in the race, maybe you do sort of respec your stats a little bit and play around different aspects of the game now that there are just objectively less items being thrown around.
Yeah, we mentioned before that all these characters are using smaller, they've picked smaller characters to play with, and that can lead to a little bit of issues when you're on a track like Mute City. We saw earlier Bowser Jr. already fell off once, and when you get stuff like mushrooms, you got to be very careful when you use them, because they could just send you flying off the track.
Oh, mushrooms in general are such an interesting item in Mario Kart, Moss. I mean, when you see these big shortcuts happen that are only possible with mushroom, I'm really curious to see if any of the players bring out those kind of stops today. Not going to happen on a track like this, but especially on tracks where there's like big gaps in the road. Sometimes you can just skip a large portion of the track with something like a mushroom that's actually optimal to hold for half the race instead of just using it to gain a lot of speed initially.
Yeah, and we talk about speed. I have to say, Jonah right now showcasing the speed almost perfectly. Eating 2 blue shells through the duration of that race. Isaiah with an opportunity to turn that last corner, but couldn't control his piranha plant and make up the ground. So Jonah unaffected by the blue shells and finishes again in 1st place, starting to run away with it. But Isaiah, again, like Avery said, only has to finish in top 2 to advance, so not panic just yet.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough hill to climb for these other 2 racers that are falling behind pretty quickly. Both Jonah and Isaiah taking 1st and 2nd back-to-back races respectively.
Yeah, if someone's like Isaiah's going to get 2nd in that 1st race, you really want them to get like a 4th later on so they get the least amount of points if you're trying to make up that comeback. And as we move on to Mount Wario here, one of my favorite tracks, I must say. A very unique one here. Want to try to get in between the flags. But yeah, those point values, think of it like 12-person race, but it's not quite as egregious if you get 4th place, you get like a 0 or something. But still, going to be needing some 1st place here from the 3rd and 4th seed here in this race.
Yeah, now's the time to start making up some ground, and Mount Wario will be the map of choice to do so. One of the few single lap or non-repeating courses, I guess I should say. Each lap its own unique geographic makeup. So we make our way down the mountain here with Jonah once again in 1st place relatively comfortably already. It's going to take a couple items to make up that ground, but just like that, Gabriella pulls 2 red shells to hopefully close that gap a little bit.
Oh, but they both hit Iggy at the same time, Chris. So that's going to be actually a huge break there for Jonah. Going to not get to close that gap just yet.
Yeah, we noticed that's the 2nd time that Brady has fallen off the map. Having a bit of trouble just controlling Bowser Jr., and it's going to take a lot of work to get back into this.
Yeah, Bowser Jr. is a tricky one, but that golden mushroom will certainly help. What an elite item to just make up a lot of ground. You can just mash the boost button. There's no limit to it, simply a timer. So going to be one you can make up a lot of ground with, but still in 4th place here. Bowser Jr. just has to navigate these trees nice and smoothly to catch up to these other racers as Iggy does indeed enter the 3rd lap of the race first. Jonah's just looking too strong.
Yeah, very much pulling away to a point that I think is unreachable now, as 2nd place Isaiah does pull a red shell, but is going to hold on to it and forced to get rid of it to defend himself. So again, a double red shell, once again a triple, but still in the iframe. So Isaiah not losing much ground there to 3rd place behind him, but all the more losing ground behind 1st place. Jonah, I will say, has this map completely on lock by now.
Yeah, does get blue shelled here right at the end. Gonna get to continue to hold his bomb there, so that is gonna keep Isaiah from getting any shady ideas. Does draw the triple red shell, but it's just going to be a little bit too late. But does look like Isaiah is going to lock up the second place here as well. That may just make the gap too big for this fourth race, so we have to look at the math here.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, it probably is a little bit too big here, because if I remember correctly, yeah, we
get
see we
1
get
point
5
for fourth. Yeah, so if it looks like it's going to be a bit too big to seal that gap.
I believe that means Jonah sitting at, I think, 15?
Yes.
And then Jonah sitting at 15, Isaiah sitting
at 9.
Yes.
At around 9, and the other two players decent ways behind them. This is a bit of an upset. Now, obviously, we mentioned before, top 2 move on, but Jonah showing out today.
Yeah, it's not too big of a deal for Isaiah, the 1 seed, to get the 2 slot here, because it does go into a semifinal groups that isn't really seeded to my knowledge, so I don't think there's like a draw incentive to get first. So we're going to move into Yoshi's Island here. Just got to finish in that top half. I think more of a gentleman's race than anything, but a very pretty one at that.
Yeah, you would think that, as this is Yoshi's Island.
There might be a little bias here.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of bias in that analysis. But loading back into it, Bowser Jr. already, Brady launching into first place, needing to make a statement here if it's even possible to squeak into second place, which I think it might be, depending on if Isaiah comes in last.
Isaiah would certainly need to get last.
Yeah, if Isaiah comes in last, then I believe it would have to be Brady, who I think is in third in the current standings. I guess I'm unsure in that, but final standings not completely solidified, but Jonah absolutely locked into the next round, can sort of take a victory lap here on Yoshi's Island.
Yeah, none of the tracks are going to repeat. It is important to say that these tracks were not selected by your competitors today. They're selected by the event management class just to... They're kind of thrown out as like, these are good tracks to race, so we're gonna run these tracks. They're all predetermined, so don't think that just because you're behind you get to pick your next best track the next race. You get stuck with whatever the TOs decide it will make for the most entertaining battle. So, you can't really just put all your eggs in one basket with these races. In order to qualify for this event, you did have to complete some predetermined time trials. So these competitors should have some experience going into races blind and really just testing their Mario Kart prowess as a general skill rather than specific track routes, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, something I'm noticing here too as well, we have 3 bikes and 1 cart in this lineup. 2 of these bikes have inside drift, and it looks like that has been a bit of a problem for Gabriella. I'm not sure if they meant to bring the inside drift, but I'm noticing a lot of turns like this becoming overwhelming with how sharp that bike turns. Jonah, the other one, who seems to have an inside drift on his bike and very, very comfortable with it, driving right into that banana as I say it, but putting up the results to make up for that little incident.
Yeah, and also, well, as the other competitors watch this race, we've noticed the past few, nothing's been changed. Like, nobody's really changing up their... I don't think we can change characters.
I don't think you can change anything once the Grand Prix starts.
You can't... Okay.
But I don't know... I think you can't change character later on, but I would imagine you could probably change vehicles.
Yeah, between Grand Prix at least, I believe you can change. Now, do you think if you're Isaiah... or Jonah, do you think you switch it up at all, or do you think you just stick with it going into the...
I think there's too much comfortability to switch. Like, if you play Mario Kart, you probably have a build that you like to stick to. So I would imagine that you wouldn't want just a difference in feel unless you play like an incredible amount of the game and you know that there's some builds that are better for tracks. Perhaps there's an argument for that. So yeah, it looks like, okay, you can make up... If you get first, you get 5 points. You get last, you get 1 point. So I suppose you would have to be within... 4 points of first place in order to have a chance of catching them in that circumstance? So, yeah, Isaiah and Jonah gonna wrap that one up in first and second.
Yeah, so Isaiah, with an opportunity to secure his spot in the next round, does exactly that with a first-place finish. His first place finish of this Grand Prix, looking to cement himself as the 1 seed coming into today with the fastest time in qualifications. And we will now move on to our second group as Jonah and Isaiah are safe.
Yeah, and in our second group, we have the second seed coming into this, Tessa. So back to back, we're getting pretty highly seeded players. What are you expecting moving forward?
I mean, it's great to see that these elite racers get to be in different groups because they do get to face off against hopefully lesser skilled racers, and we get the more exciting matches later on. So we'll see if that is the case. We'll see if Tessa gets that seed to move on with to face off against players like Isaiah and Jonah in the finals. See if the Iggy and the Baby Mario can stand the test later on. It looks like we make it a completely different set of characters in this next round. I'm curious to see just how meta-focused we are, as I see Donkey Kong already getting hovered, might be some shaking things up.
Yeah, that's not usually on meta, but it's always fun to see a Donkey Kong
of course.
come out. Looks like we also have a Peach, a Luigi, and a Shy Guy coming out.
Yeah, so we'll see quickly who these players are piloting each of these carts. I'm curious, how familiar are you with the Mario Kart 8 meta?
I'm familiar with the best of the best. So
Last I heard, it was like Waluigi with the Wiggler cart. Is that a thing?
I believe it's still Yoshi with the Teddy cart.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that. I'm not super up to date, but I know that's been like the thing for a while at least.
Best cart combo.
I'm pretty sure it's Yoshi with the teddy bear.
Do you know why that is? It's just like
I couldn't tell you
the
why.
Best, highest combination of stats or something. From 10 months ago, there's a Reddit post that says, oh, never mind.
I know, Peach, and generally the smaller characters are going to be the ones that people go. Just for acceleration reasons, which I don't know if that's why. I don't know if that's a 12-person thing, like you said. I wonder if speed is actually better. As we move into Baby Park, I did not expect this track today.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
I did not expect this.
This is a very different change of pace. This Reddit post I found does have Yoshi with the teddy buggy, rollers, and a cloud glider, among other characters that I assume have the same stats. But loading into Baby Park, for those of you unfamiliar, 7 laps in a very simple loop here. Items are meant to create chaos on this type of map, but with less players in the lobby, no bots to have to worry about, less items to have to worry about. This, I imagine, will just come down to who can pilot their car the best.
If you get behind early, how do you make up time on this kind of track?
Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be a showcase of who can make the least amount of mistakes, and this will be a quick race too, as you see. First place already in lap 4 of 7. In the blink of an eye, we're halfway through this race and approaching the end.
Yeah, quick pull away here from Tessa, who hasn't let up the lead yet. Falling right behind is Grace, then Alejandro, and Ruby.
Yeah, Tessa playing some defense I saw there with a green shell, and probably a smart idea if you're confident in your driving skills, knowing that you will be in first place and don't have to make up any ground, as Tessa now in the final lap pulls a banana and will hold it behind. So a very safe position for first place, but a contested run for second place as Grace gets hit right on the edge, and they still have one more turn to get around, but now Alejandro in first place with a Piranha Plant will thrust him over the line and cement second place.
What a huge Piranha Plant there for Alejandro, gonna scoop that second place. And Ruby, unfortunately, with the golden mushroom there, seemed unaware that you could spam the boost, just went for a few intermittent boosts. I wonder if Ruby would have been able to snatch third place there with a golden mushroom here on a track like this. I mean, so much speed. You could probably fly 2 times around the track in the span of that item.
Probably, and a big part of the value of a golden mushroom on Baby Park is that you get to cut those turns even tighter.
Yeah, that's true.
With the grass sort of forcing you outside on those turns, a golden mushroom would completely negate that. But Ruby not able to execute on the item, unfortunately. So Alejandro stealing second place pretty close to the end there, and Tessa pretty firmly seizing first place there.
Yeah, it looked like really tight turns there from the Shy Guy in the bottom left. So I'm curious to see if we get into a bigger map, how that correlates. Are we going to see those really big leads that we saw Jonah get on the Iggy, where Tessa really just pulls away from this? And with Isaiah on Baby Mario, he kind of gave Jonah some combat there, some things to think about. I wonder if Alejandro will step up to that role and really threaten Tessa on these tight drifts.
Yeah, and here we are loading into Waluigi Stadium, one of my favorite tracks. And we are going to see how this starts to shape up. These first two tracks are incredibly important, as we saw from the last Grand Prix that we watched. Getting out to an early lead is important because later down the line, it is hard to make up that ground.
Certainly. I mean, already off to a rocky start from Tessa. Saw the burnout at the beginning of the race and then is still in first place. I mean, that's got to be concerning for the other competitors here as they just continue to pull ahead here on the stadium. And Alejandro sticking to the third place, and Grace is kind of taking over that second place spot.
Yeah, I have to point out, I just noticed something from Tessa braking around a turn. That is weirdly high level. That's something that a lot of your average Mario Kart players will just hold down the A button and make their turns work. But if you're watching the bottom left corner of your screen, you're going to notice, like we said in Baby Park, very tight turns and very good control of the car. As Tessa noticed, they were going pretty wide into a turn and slowed their car down, which is really not something you see many players do. So I'm seeing a lot from Tessa here that makes me believe this is a pretty experienced Mario Kart player.
I am looking at the stats here, and Tessa only finished 1 minute behind Isaiah's time in the series of time trials that they had.
I believe 1 second.
It might be 1 second. Yeah, 1 second. So, yeah, those two players should be very even, and we're seeing why here with these great drifts.
Absolutely, yeah. This is clearly somebody very comfortable in their car, very comfortable on this map, as they are familiar with where their turns can be, where to maximize their jumps. Look at this, a purple drift around this turn that very easily could be lost. Pulling a coin does not have max coins, as they haven't been hit too much, but a red shell in second place being played on defense means that Tessa's not feeling very threatened up there at the front.
Are you familiar with exactly what the coins do for you in this game, Chris?
Yes, they increase your top speed. If you have, it's marginal, but if you are maxing out your coins, that allows you to reach your car's top speed.
That's
whereas
huge.
if you have 0 coins, you cannot reach that speed. So that's something that, if you saw on Mute City, there's those strips that look rainbow, and they fill up your coin meter. So the strategy is to drive over them once to fill up your coins and then use the boost pads to speed you up otherwise. Coins are an important factor in this game if you're able to hold on to them as much as possible.
And as we see Ruby getting a late use out of the bullet bill, going to be able to take third place with that, which a little bit helpful here as it not only leaves them 2 points out of the top 2. Now, this is a close race. This is a much closer race than the last Grand Prix we watched. We are going into track 3, and while first place seems mostly on lock, the second spot's still up for grabs.
Yeah, and that was huge that Alejandro got 4th in that race because they were able to secure the number 2 spot in Baby Park, which, of course, is a very volatile map. So maybe that was an early lead for Alejandro that they weren't able to maintain in this race. So that third race is really going to determine who has the pressure on them for the 4th race to maintain that at least second place spot. Because if you're assuming that first place is unachievable, now you're in a really tight spot where you can't get hit with any items in the last stretch of being in second place on the last race. I mean, that's not a position you want to be in.
Absolutely, yeah. 1 point separating second from third, 1 point separating third from fourth. This is a very tight spot to be in, a very tight competition for that second place spot. Because again, now, just within this one race, Tessa is untouchable in first place. Now, 2 bad races in a row completely changed the narrative. But 5 points separating first place from second place because of Alejandro coming in fourth, like you said. Tessa now firmly in first place, and I expect more success from that shy guy in the corner as they struggle to get their get-off timing correct.
Yeah, that's not the second time in a row, Chris.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, that's an interesting trend that might make a difference later on in this game when the competition really starts to even out in the later rounds of this tournament, but already Tessa making up ground without even using that shell, but might be forced to use it here coming off the red shell.
And this may be the first track we've seen where there's definitive different routes you can take. I'm curious if any of the racers will opt for the same route every time that they see as definitely optimal, or if they'll just kind of go with the flow of what makes sense at the time. Because I imagine there is a fastest path, but we've already seen that multiple racers are trying different routes in a lot of different spots.
Yeah, something I'm a big fan of in Mario Kart 8 is that it is a fairly balanced game, just strictly speaking. A lot of the karts are, just trade-offs in terms of stats, not explicit advantages one way or another. And the maps tend to be the same way with these, different paths. I agree with you. I'm sure there is like a meta, one way that all of the best Mario Kart players in the world. Look at this for Tessa.
As we see this, yeah. Get the flashlight out. Go through the tunnel.
Yeah, driving into the dark. Unfortunately, it looked like did not actually make up a ton of ground on that, but it speaks to the awareness of this player that clearly they're very familiar with the game, and this is a DLC map as well. So a modern player as well, not someone that's just like, coming back to the game to see if they've still got it. But I have to point out, coin count across the board, very low from all of these players. Nobody looking to maximize their speed, which is a very, very important part of this game.
Yeah, as we go into this third lap, it's, like we were mentioning before, tight race. Now, we do see Grace in second place, vying for that first place, and on the other side of that, Alejandro also vying for that first place. Tessa kind of pulling away a little bit now, but this second place finish is a huge, huge advantage for whoever gets it.
Yeah, Grace was looking really solid, especially in the first half of this race. Tessa was actually really struggling to make up ground. I wonder if some of those route choices from Tessa have really allowed the Pink Shy Guy to pull away here. As we're finishing up the third lap, it looks like Tessa is indeed going to lock up the first place, as Grace has not been able to get out of this third, as Alejandro pulls a golden mushroom in second but falls off. Lakitu with the assist on both players!
Oh man, very, very tight finish here from second and third. About half a second separating those two racers halfway through the last lap, and it did not get much wider until the end. Alejandro with a huge golden mushroom pull there at the end to close it out, but some scary racing from these players as one more race remains to dictate who will be advancing alongside Tessa.
Yeah, that was an incredible finish there. I thought Grace for sure was like dead in the water with Alejandro pulling that golden mushroom, but falling off the map and then falling off right along with Alejandro is Grace. So a tricky turn there that kind of spooked everyone. Is going to keep the race nice and close. But at the end of the day, we're going to move on to this last track, and you got to fight for it because it's still a close battle.
Yeah, with two players tied with 7 points, this is going to be everything. We are going to be loading into DK Mountain for this final race of the Grand Prix. Now, what do you guys think that may need to switch up to try? The players may need to switch up in order to pull ahead here, try to grab the second position.
I mean, I can say about DK Mountain, I'm curious if anyone jumps the gaps. I mean, it is possible to do so, but it is not something that you may want to go for in a 4-person race. I will say it's slightly less punishing to die in Mario Kart 8 than it is in Wii, which is the map that I'm most familiar with DK on. So, you can jump the gaps, and you can maybe get a Lakitu and get away with it, as we saw in the last race. But will anyone be bold enough to go for it? If anyone does, I think it'll be Tessa. But if someone else does, maybe that'll be the reason that they can pull away with the second place here.
Yeah, I think that jump in the gaps is also going to come down to coin consumption as well. You need to have the speed to be able to make those jumps. And with 0 coins, those jumps become significantly harder, if not impossible. But a big question on my mind as well is DK Mountain's been a map since, I believe, Double Dash on the GameCube.
Yep.
So has been remade multiple times, and if any of these players are familiar with Mario Kart, grew up playing different versions of Mario Kart, maybe less familiar with some of the other maps that we've played through this Grand Prix so far, maybe this is a home field advantage. Maybe this is a map that you've seen before and you can let a little loose, as now Alejandro starting to separate from third place Grace, getting blown up there. And again, this is the decider, right? Whoever places higher out of the 3 behind Tessa will advance. Or excuse me, I guess not including Ruby. I believe Ruby's out of contention. But
yeah, I mean, if I got race DK on his own mountain, I mean, how do you compete with a man that, with a monkey that knows his way around so well?
Yeah, I believe that Ruby can technically maybe tie for second if they get first, but that's looking like a big ask. Now, one thing I've noticed, what's separating Grace and Alejandro right now is mostly item mismanagement. Grace, earlier, you talked about it, was accidentally blew themselves up with a bump. And that kind of made a bigger gap there between the second and third place racers. And as we see here, she's still able to bridge the gap a little bit, but it's not looking great.
Oh, the blue shell might hit outside of the cannon. Alejandro's going to catch up to Tessa. No, but wait, they got in the cannon right after the explosion. That was huge.
Yeah, the blue shell hits the iframes once again for Tessa. So Tessa pretty unscathed, and Alejandro threatening first place still. But again, none of it matters. Tessa's in. This race is a competition between Alejandro and Grace for that second spot to qualify to the next round. And so far, Alejandro in firm control as we have the mini map in the middle of your screen. Just last race, we saw Alejandro and Grace's icons very much like on top of each other for how close they are. But this time around, some serious separation between these two players.
Yeah, it falls off the map, but like I said, Lakitu brings you up fairly quickly, and the shaky bridge is not going to trip Alejandro up. He takes second place on DK Mountain, and that should solidify things here. We're going to look at the final standings. It's going to be Pink Shy Guy Tessa with a firm 20 points. Donkey Kong, Alejandro, half the score.
Yeah, Alejandro very much making up for that second race, coming in fourth place, if we all remember that. There was a time that Alejandro finished fourth in one of these races, but claws all the way back with, I believe, 3 second-place finishes to cancel it out and launch himself into the next round.
Yeah, and I just noticed as well, it looks like Alejandro is actually using the same car setup that Isaiah was using on Baby Mario.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So I don't know if that means anything for the future, but maybe that's one that we may have looked over as a very strong car to contend with.
Yeah, very strong car to contend with. And we look back at that race we just watched. I feel a big reason why it ended up the way it did was because of the mistakes. We were talking about it going into it. Optimization and not making mistakes. That's what's going to set the top players away from the less skilled players.
Yeah, and as we move into our third group here, you may have heard early on in the show that we have 11 players here today competing in this Mario Kart tournament, which means this third group will only have 3 players. Helen, Wade, and Jaden are the names I have in front of me. So, a different narrative now, as the goal is to just not come in last.
Yeah, it's fascinating, Chris. Like, if you don't have to be the worst player, you have so much, like, interest in, I think, specifically Bullet Bill. Like, if you get it, like, I feel like there's only one person you have to pass. You get Bullet Bill near the end of the race, you just win.
Or even if you get Bullet Bill, like, at any point in the race, maybe it's worth holding on to until the very end. About halfway through the last lap, you rip that thing, and assuming you can hang close enough without using any items along the way, and not let, assuming you're in last place when you get the Bullet Bill, not let second place pull too far ahead of you. Yeah, you rip that thing and you're going to pass them every time. So yeah, keep an eye out for Bullet Bills if anybody gets them, and if they get them, when and how they use them. Because yeah, you're absolutely right. If the story is just avoiding last, that is a golden ticket to not last place.
Yeah, and with there only being 3 players, that means you're guaranteed to get more than 1 point, which is also
true.
It's going to keep the second place spot way closer than it has in the past 2 cups we've watched.
Yeah, that's a fascinating thing to point out, Moss. I don't know if I assume that it still goes down like 5-4. Would it be 2 or?
I believe it was 5-3-2.
Yeah, I think it was 5-3-2.
So it's all one gap. Okay.
Yeah.
That'll make it very achievable then for any player to make some comebacks here. You only got to beat out 1 player. So see if we get any unique setups here. I don't think anyone has gone for the automatic steering so far. I don't think it's illegal.
Good.
Yeah, that's terrible.
But no one's gone for that option yet. I don't know if I expected it, but no one's tried it.
That's a fair point. That's something I didn't even consider coming into this, that smart steering could be a factor for certain players to try to stay on the court, or, the automatic acceleration. I haven't been seeing if that's... I haven't been seeing if anybody's using tilt controls either, which would be electric, I have to say.
Here again, like, is our goal to be the fastest racer? Is our goal to make the least mistakes? Because we're assuming someone's on the course that's falling off maybe once a track. Is that enough to justify different controls? I don't know.
I don't know. Hard to say, but as we load in to our final first round group between Wayne, Jaden, and Helen, we get a nice little spectator cam, as this Mario Kart doesn't have a way of dividing the camera into threes. So you get to see nice cinematic shots of all of our players here, but Inkling, I believe that's Baby Luigi, yes. And then Peachette. Peachette, excuse me, I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah, that's a weird one for you.
Yeah, that's a new one for me. But you see a star already pulled in third place with great separation, granted, between second and third place, but high value draws coming in this first lap already.
Yeah, Helen had a brutal start on this track, just playing in the grass for a bit too long, but skipped some of it there with the triple mushroom. The grass on this stage is just brutal. You can't stay in it for too long. Got to stay on the road if you want to go at that top speed. And it looks like Helen has made up a lot of ground here, may even pass second place here. Gets another triple mushroom, but it's just too much speed to handle. The Piranha Plant takes a bite.
Yeah, not getting the drifts where they want them. This cart that Helen is using has very, very sharp turning with the inside drift, but wasn't really able to activate that drift in the mushrooms. And expectedly so, right? Speed can very much overwhelm your drifting control, but this seems like a pretty high elo heat we have here, I have to say. All three of these players playing fast, playing with great control of their cars, and playing with their mushrooms very effectively around the grass. So while we see some separation starting to build between all three players now, just off of the first two laps that we've seen, I believe that these players can make up some serious ground with the right circumstances.
Yeah, not too much chaos going around, as a lot of players able to block some red shells here and there with bananas. Now we have Jaden trying to throw a wrench into Helen's plans as he throws a couple green shells behind, one almost going to hit them, but doesn't. Now, going into this last little part of the race, Wayne sitting in first, Jaden in second, and Helen in third.
I do want to point out, what's the difference between Wayne and Jaden right now compared to Helen in last place?
The coin value.
Coin value. They're very, very valuable. The longer the race goes on, you start to see that separation become unmanageable with top speeds being reached 4, 2, and 1. The point
that's
spread.
Brutal.
That's very interesting because now, yeah, first place getting twice the amount of points as second place can create some serious problems the longer this goes on.
Yeah, that's very true. Wayne may end up with double someone's score every single time.
Yeah.
That could be how that shakes out. So someone's going to have to achieve first in order to catch him. And let's see where we're going to go next. It's going to be Riverside Park from the Game Boy.
Yeah, one that I'm less familiar with. Again, you'll notice this with me as the show goes on. I am admittedly not as familiar with some of the extra tracks that were added in the DLC rounds, but we've already seen some players that are very much familiar with the DLC tracks, and that's why I'm back here and not out there competing. These players earned it, qualified to be here, and now showcasing exactly what they're capable of.
Yeah, and after seeing that point spread, first place is just that much more important here. Wayne going to get a good head start, but all players... Ooh, that's a tough shell to take. All the players still kind of bunched up together. No one really too far ahead as Helen goes ahead, uses the mushroom to try to get ahead. Doesn't work. Still in third, but still got the rest of the race to make up that ground.
Yeah, the Piranha Plant's still out on this track, but this time they are mobile. You gotta be careful. You can't run into them when they're stationary and expect to avoid them while they're mobile. That's even more tricky. And Lakitu already coming out to save Helen. That's going to be a bit of a gap developer for second place here. As they skip past some grass here, going to need another mushroom here to make up some ground. That's exactly what Helen gets.
Yeah, and I have to say, I'm very impressed already from Wayne. From the start of this race, first two boxes, coin and coin. What did the other players get? I saw a triple green shell from the first box on Jaden's car, and none of them land, and Wayne pulls this far ahead with 0 effective items until now defensive bananas. Now going to fish for something else if possible, but has made very just efficient work of his draws and has avoided any issues from the other players now at max coins, and another banana that can be used to defend him from any items that Jaden pulls here.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Wayne has that banana, it's going to be very hard to take him out of first place. Something like a blue shell is going to be the only thing to really guarantee a stop. Any red shell is going to have to hit him from the side.
And Wayne just pulled the super horn to protect himself from a blue shell. So what felt like any real threat. This is coming down to the wire, by the way, no?
Yeah, snuck out second.
Yeah, wow. I couldn't see the players on each other's screens, but I was looking at the map, and they were very much on top of each other. Helen stealing second place there, and again, because of the point spread here, Wayne absolutely pulling ahead, now up 5 whole points from second place, but second place tied between 2 players.
Yeah, now if Wayne gets second place, he goes up to 10 points, and someone else cannot reach that with a first place. So, yeah, gonna need 2 firsts in a row to secure that top spot if someone wants to take it from Wayne. But like you said, his play, although has not been getting lucky on the items, and again, if you're in first, you're gonna get the worst items, but has not been getting super lucky even with the defense items, and has maintained this elite lead.
Yeah, and the last 2 tracks we're gonna have here are both different variations of Bowser's Castle.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is a unique map in the Mario Kart 8 scheme because it's very flat. Wayne with a rough start already, going straight into the lava, but accompanied by Helen. So now it's Jonah's turn to separate himself from the pack with a red shell in hand and a coin in that secondary slot. Going to look to hold on to both as long as possible, but means he, well, excuse me.
Uses it offensively. I don't know if that was a mistake from Jaden there. Used the banana right away as well. Looks like Jaden is not going to go for the defensive hold on the items here.
Yeah, very interesting approach. Not one that I can say I agree with, because if Jaden ever loses this first place spot, that red shell would be so convenient to instantly reclaim it or to protect himself from a red shell from Wayne, but didn't like it, looking for something else, and that's the strategy that he's going to ride with. So as he maxes out his own coins here, Wayne struggling to match it, and Helen all the way down at the bottom with 0 coins, but does pull a star to hopefully make up some ground.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed with this combination that Helen has chosen, it brings about a mix of very quick racing, but also sharp turns, like you mentioned before, and sharp turns can be scary on Bowser's Castle.
Absolutely, and I'm noticing that Wayne may be looking just a little unfamiliar with this track. Just drove right off the edge.
And that's certainly a factor, right? I mean, there's so many tracks.
And it's a factor that maybe some of these players play Mario Kart without the DLC at home. I believe this is a DLC track. You know, maybe some of these players have a lot of experience, have a lot of the fundamentals, but if you don't know where the track is going, you're going to drive yourself right off a ledge, as we've seen already a couple times just in this race alone.
Yeah, and Wayne not getting first isn't the biggest deal, but what is the big deal is Jaden getting first. That point spread is so crucial. Getting first here would practically mean a confirmed second place unless something crazy happens in the last track.
And Wayne threatening last as well. It could be a massive factor as he launches himself right between that gap. That could have been brutal, but a golden mushroom will cover up any band-aids from that as he drives right into the womp, into the lava, and Helen comes away with a second place finish.
The golden mushroom cannot save you from diving head first into the lava. Inkling cannot survive water or lava, and baby Luigi Jaden is going to secure the first place spot, but a bigger gap would have developed for Helen if that disaster did not strike for Wayne.
Wow, that was incredible. Okay, so I'm doing math in my head. We saw Wayne at 9.
Mm-hmm.
Jaden at 7, and Helen at 5, which means that while Wayne is not secured in first place, Helen, I don't believe... No,
Wayne cannot get last in
Wayne
advance.
cannot get last. So Wayne is locked into the next round, but a first place finish from Helen and a last place finish from Jaden would still put Helen in. So we're still in it.
This is fascinating.
This is
fascinating.
Yeah, here comes Big Bowser.
Oh, Big Bowser.
A very dangerous castle this one is, but I don't know how much more dangerous you can get from those lava pits taking souls in that last one.
Yeah, that was lethal.
And this track is not DLC. This is a track that all three of these players should be familiar with. So a lot of the mistakes we saw from Wayne in the last race may not come up here.
Yeah, and already we're seeing that's one of the sharpest turns in the game, that 180, and I saw Wayne, I don't know if he used his brakes used his brakes or not. Another sharp turn here, not as sharp as the first one, but Wayne pulling a red shell and a mushroom in second place means he's going to make up some ground already.
However, Bowser Fist getting in the way just a little bit. Gonna switch places with Helen here for a second, but does have that mushroom that they could use to try and get ahead.
Yeah, you do kind of have to react on that portion of the map when Bowser's swinging his fists. He swings one, then the other in a pattern, so if you see him swing on one side, sometimes, depending on how quickly you get there, you can get to the other side, or you should go to the side where he has already swung, being that he can't swing there again until he has already hit the other side.
Correct, yeah, and that's something you would only really know if you had practice on this map. Hopefully something that these players can maybe pick up over the course of the race, as they will pass through that area 3 times. But Wayne, oh man, threatening that mace once again, able to avoid it this time. And now we make this turn again. Wayne will go pretty darn close to that fist, might eat it here, is able to get right past it, but we watch the other players as well avoid danger, and everybody passed the test this time around.
Yeah, it is quite a slow punch, admittedly.
It is.
Wayne did get by that one. And have to avoid these boulders as well. Kind of a flashback to DK Mountain here. No one's gotten hit by a boulder just yet, so I'm pretty impressed on that front, as Wayne does get passed by Helen. Takes the first place lead here on this very fast car. Going to navigate the lasers. Only halfway on the coins thus far, whereas Wayne's coin economy has just been so great throughout this whole time here. Going to be able to maintain that max speed.
Yeah, Wayne knows that the last thing they need is to get last place, but it's not going to help if you're falling off the track. Now trying to use those mushrooms to put more ground in between themselves and Jaden.
Again, the only thing that matters in this race, Wayne is into the next round. If Helen comes in first and Jaden comes in last, Jaden is out and Helen is in. And that is what we have on our screens. This is down to the wire, because right now, Helen very much in first place and will secure it. But can Jaden take second place and force himself into the next round? He's going to go outside, use the mushroom, take the ramp, but it's not enough. Wayne takes second place in the final race. And Baby Luigi will be knocked. Is that the final race?
That is the final race.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Man, I started doubting myself
The
there.
score is so low. We're used to like
exactly.
20.
Yeah, I really started to doubt myself there, but strong showing from Wayne across the board until those, I guess, last 2 maps, excuse me. Not enough to bail Jaden out, unfortunately. And Helen, how about it? Storming all the way back into first place on the last map when she needed it most.
Yeah, that was excellent. Helen, maybe with a bit more map knowledge in the second half. I wonder if that's going to be a critical factor for that player going into the future rounds, because on those first 2 tracks, Helen really struggled with the grass and those piranha plants, keeping the coin count low. So when we were able to get into the spots where everyone was struggling, falling off the map into lava, and there was a lot more obstacles on board, Helen actually, with the really high-speed vehicle and having to navigate less turns, ended up in first place.
Yeah, how about it? I mean, that's an electric finish
that was awesome.
to that last heat. So now we advance to our semifinal rounds. And if you thought that was exciting, well, these next 2 are going to be pretty exciting as well, because if you've been doing the math, we've had 2 players advance from all 3 of those first rounds, which means we have 2 heats of 3. Which means we have to deal with that point spread once again.
Yeah, we are now used to that point spread. Don't worry, we'll go back to the other point spread in the finals. Don't get too used to it. But yeah, I mean, that 4 points for first place, 2 for second is a very interesting dynamic. The fact that you just have to stay ahead of the competition. 2 players still advancing from each semifinal. So again, same thing we've been over before. You only have to beat out 1 player. But this player has now advanced from a previous group.
Yeah, the skill gap is going to get a lot closer. And now I want to take a look at the next tracks we have. What I believe is going to be our first Grand Prix of the 2 semifinals. We are going to have Peach Gardens, Waluigi Pinball, Tick-Tock Clock, and Athens Dash. As a player, what do you like? Does your strategy change? Do you select different vehicles? I would assume you just stick with what you know, like you mentioned earlier, Avery.
I think that's probably going to be the case. As we get a preview of that right now, it looks like at least Wayne and Tessa are going to stick to their combinations here. Alejandro going with the DK again. Yeah, I think it's going to stay the same here, and that makes sense to me. Just want to keep things consistent. You are playing on 4 different tracks, so even if there's one that's optimal for one specific track, you probably just want to keep things comfortable, and that looks like it's going to be the case here.
Yeah, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? All of these players have now found success in their own rights, and now have to repeat that success coming in the top 2 of their upcoming groups. So, yeah, I agree. If you're comfortable on one setup, why change it now? And it looks like none of these players are. We will be getting into our first map here soon, and it looks like it will be another DLC map. So, again, just an interesting dynamic here, depending on how comfortable these players are with the added maps. Wayne in this group, we saw somewhat struggling on the DLC maps in the last group. We'll see if that's a factor here on Peach Gardens.
Yeah, I will say this is a DLC map, but it's also a classic map going back to the DS. So, I mean, if you've played Mario Kart Wii, played Mario Kart DS, you should be familiar with navigating the Chain Chomp Gardens that we are going into here. A bit of a weird track, but also kind of simple. There's 2 main sections. There's this part where you go through a couple chain chomps. It's not too difficult. And then there's the second part where it's like more chain chomps. So there's a couple different paths you can take, but it's a relatively simple track. It's not like lava you have to navigate, not jumping into.
Right. There is a pretty big surprise, though, no? In the third lap, I believe, sort of flips the map around. And I'm curious if we'll see that, or like if I remember that correctly, as you know, we're back to where we started, right? We turn left out of this, but keep an eye when we go into lap 3. I'm pretty sure the map changes a little bit, and you take a different route. As Tessa efficiently using the mushroom there to cut a huge corner in that turn.
Yeah, Tessa pulling away with first place, not locked in just yet. I mean, we have a lap and a half left, but everybody. The last 2 players really, really close. Now, Wayne has this mushroom, going to take a little bit of a nosedive there, but has 3 mushrooms to try and catch back up. Gonna see when they're going to use them.
Yeah, yes. Alejandro did have to compete with Tessa in groups. I want to point that out. This is now the second time that Alejandro has to play Tessa, which is, in my opinion, a brutal draw.
Yeah, absolutely. Tessa, very, very talented player. You see this turn now has changed. We're going to loop back around toward the finish line and drive the course backwards. So lap 3, a bit of a mix-up here as we now, as you can see on the map, passing the opposite direction from where we've been going. And we'll see if these players have picked up on the track layout well enough to do it backwards.
Yeah, and I must say, Chris, that was definitely not something that was on the Wii. So that is not one I was familiar with. So gonna have to navigate that backwards, go through all the hedgeway the other way, right over the chain chomps. Tessa soars. That's gonna be a big chunk of the map that you simply don't have to navigate.
Yeah, Tessa still really pulling away from the group. Has some good separation, but 2 mushrooms on Alejandro may be able to cut that same corner that Tessa did earlier. But bumping into walls means he's going to have to use them early. Tessa now very much in control of first place, and those walls will make it so that Wayne, oh man, almost loses second place there, but Alejandro now cruising into third, and we have our results from our first race.
Yeah, I like Alejandro going for the water skip there at the end with the mushroom, even though they didn't hit it. They understood that Wayne was a good bit ahead and had to hit something big in order to make up that ground. When you have a stage like that, when people are making less mistakes, sometimes you got to go for those big shortcuts in order to make up ground.
Yeah, taking risks and having them hopefully pay out will be a huge advantage, you know, especially in semifinals when the skill gap closes in a lot. Now, the next track we're going to go into is Waluigi Pinball.
Oh boy.
And this is a fan favorite if I've ever seen it.
An all-timer on our screens here. A classic similar to the last map, all the way back to Mario Kart DS as Waluigi Pinball. Everybody turn your music up a little bit because we got a banger on our hands.
Absolutely. I mean, so many flashing colors and lights on this track. I mean, what's not to love? It almost reminds me of Mario 3D World when you get to the Bowser level when you have all the lights and the banger music going on. I mean, what a great time.
Iconic Nintendo music right there, being pulled from multiple sources. Tessa, once again, pulling ahead of the group, but not by much just yet. A mushroom pulled in both second and third place, but a red shell sitting behind this mushroom in second place as he drives right into the pinball, forced to use his mushroom to not fall too far behind, and will use the red shell as well to claw back into second place.
Yeah, and a big thing out of using that red shell was Alejandro lost a couple of coins, but now back up to 5. They were at 6 before the red shell. Lost a few, back up to 5. Still in third place, however.
How does Wayne manage to get pelted by things and yet not fall behind? It seems like a skill at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe that is the kart makeup. Maybe he has more acceleration than the other cars and is prepared to be hit by various hazards on the roads and be able to recover quickly from them. Hard to say, but because I know that the roller wheels that both of our top 2 competitors on the screen are using give a crazy amount of acceleration. So we're seeing Alejandro sort of struggling to pilot this star power and falling more and more behind as the dynamic between these 3 continues to sort of remain the same, with Tessa in first, Wayne in second, and Alejandro struggling to keep up, but the gaps between each of these 3 players just starting to widen.
Yeah, and a big defensive green shell there from Tessa, able to keep that red shell away and hopefully try to secure first place here in track number 2.
Yeah, Alejandro has really been struggling here on the Donkey Kong to just navigate this track in general. Seems like some unfamiliarity with just what's going on. And pulling the Ghost as well in third place, I mean, that's not going to net you a very powerful item. It's just hard to make up ground, especially when this gap is just widening. Wayne getting the triple mushroom is just going to bring him further into second place. And that point differential between second and third may not seem very wide at 1, but that first place is so locked up by Tessa that it's hard to justify getting third on any track.
Yeah, Tessa now rounding the final turn, has this first place all but secured. Wayne making his way around the final turn as well, and Alejandro just can't avoid the pinball chaos. So a pretty routine map here, as you know, pretty much from the get, these players formed their order and never really lost it. And now the results very much reflecting that, with Tessa in first place with 8 and Wayne in second with 4, but Alejandro still at 2 can make that up, but it would take pretty much a first place finish now.
Yeah, and that's just a brutal spot to be. You better be super familiar with the maps that are upcoming if you want to beat this Pink Shy guy, because Tessa has simply not been in second place since these races have really gotten off the ground. I mean, even with the item play, the lack of bots, just the crazy maps that we've played on, Tessa has stayed really consistent. And on a classic map like Tick-Tock Clock, I really don't see that changing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and when it comes to track knowledge, if you know you don't have the track knowledge that the other players do, the biggest thing is going to be that item luck and that item management.
Yeah, and we see, I want to point out now, through 6 races, you bring up a good point, Avery. Tessa has not come into any place but first.
Has never really been in anything outside first.
Exactly. Pretty much by the end of the first lap, Tessa in first place again, utilizing the brakes to avoid running into that swinging thing that Grandfather Clocks had. The pendulum, there you go. But Tessa, once again, repeating this strategy of just getting in first place and staying there.
It's a pretty good strategy.
Yeah, if you ask me.
The only thing you have to avoid is the blue shell, which I do not believe has come out yet in these 3-player races, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if it's less likely to occur, but it certainly seems that way.
And I also believe a part of item factors is distance, separation between players. If we see a third-place player fall really far behind, then I think they will start to draw the more, overpowered items, if you will. But so far, these players still very tight with each other, and again, will likely stay that way with only 3 players in the race, right? It would take some serious self-inflicted wounds to create the type of gap needed to draw a bullet bill, to draw a blue shell, to draw, other high-value items in a race like this.
Yeah, one thing to keep an eye on, I believe you said it earlier, Chris, Alejandro needs a first place in one of these last 2 tracks, but also cannot take a 3rd place. You take a 3rd place right here, it's practically a death sentence for trying to get to the next round.
Yeah, that's just a tough spot to be. I mean, especially like with how strong Wayne has looked here. I mean, cannot seem to catch up to Tesla just because they always have a defensive item when they need one. But also, there's just not a lot of shortcuts on this map to make up ground. So you do kind of need those items that are created by distance, and we haven't seen anyone go for any like big just waiting strategies for better items. So I mean, that's kind of off the table on these like short, on these small character pool races. So yeah, Wayne has just had such a solid 2nd place, and then Tessa just completely untouchable.
And with that, I believe the final standings are solidified, right? Because even if Alejandro gets 1st place and Wayne gets last, they'd be tied.
I think they'd be tied, yeah. And then there is a sudden death if a tie does occur. So that is indeed Alejandro's way out of this semifinal.
Do you want to tell us about that? Do you know how that works?
So it is a 1v1 race. It's pretty clean. So yeah, it's just like a race, and whoever wins.
Interesting. All right. Well,
I hope we see one today.
On the table. Yeah, very
table.
much on the table. But it would take, again, a 1st place finish from Alejandro and a last place finish from Wayne to even get us to a sudden death where Alejandro can get out of this group. And we get, once again, another DLC map. So far, historically, that has been sort of an Achilles for Wayne, or maps that he seems to be less familiar with. But this time around, already, just through the first couple turns, seems to look pretty comfortable.
I wonder if that was a strat by Wayne to follow where Tessa went.
I was thinking the same
That's what
thing.
that looked like to me.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Exactly.
I'd be like, that route looks nice. I'll take
and
that.
clearly this player is very comfortable and familiar with a lot
Finally
of
does
these
not
maps.
have a defensive item for Wayne's red shell. Wayne takes the first that I've seen in this race, at least.
And we'll see if he's able to hold on to it, as 2 mushrooms have been pulled from Tessa, and we'll see where they use them, because some of these tight turns can really maximize mushroom efficiency, like we saw in the Peach Gardens. Tessa very familiar with some of those turns, but opts not to use it, takes the value from the bomb and lands it right on Alejandro.
That was such a huge bomb. It got both Alejandro and Wayne. So that's just going to create such a gap for Tessa here.
Great awareness, right? Great vision on the map to know that we were holding on to that mushroom for quite a while, looking for an opportunity to use it, but saw a better opportunity with the secondary item, so they blow the mushroom and get the value from the bomb. Just high-level Mario Kart so far from Tessa, as they once again separate quite a bit from the pack, and again in a map where Alejandro is going to need 1st place. That gap is looking overwhelming already.
Yeah, all Wayne really needs to do is... honestly, I don't know if I would have thrown that blue shell there. If I'm being honest with you. I feel like that just... it shortens the gap between Alejandro and Tessa, and what Wayne needs is for that to not happen.
Oh, you're right.
That's a fair point. Yeah, that's a great
true.
point. But looks like it won't quite be enough. Another red shell connects onto Tessa, so Alejandro starting to close the gap here, but only 1 lap. This will be the final stretch, and Tessa looking pretty uncontested up to the finish line. Alejandro did everything he could, but not quite enough. Of last place finish for Wayne, but not a 1st place finish for Alejandro means we are out of this group with 2 winners.
I mean, your prediction ended up being correct, Chris. Wayne, again, on the DLC map, just ending up in last place when Alejandro was ending up getting last in every other race. I mean, that's really critical going into the final here that Wayne just advanced to, because in the final, I believe it's all wheat tracks. So those DLC maps, there might be some slight changes, like for Peach Gardens where the map reverses. I don't know specifically for these tracks, is there any tricks like that? But Wayne should be more familiar, I think, and has been leading the pack more so in these maps that is not the case.
Yeah, I'm very, very curious to see how that goes. But ultimately, finals secured for Wayne. Finals locked and secured under a tight security from Tessa. So we are preparing for our next group here, and we'll see if Jonah, Isaiah, and Helen, the 3 players remaining, who will be eliminated from that next group as well.
Yeah, I mean, Helen, I think, is kind of the dark horse here that we're looking out for. Can they surpass kind of the Jonah, Isaiah sort of on top Titans that were in that first group? Very, very interesting stuff on the Peachette here with the fast bike.
Yeah, Helen making it in by 1 point from the last round. That was the tight race. That was the tight Grand Prix we watched before. Now, to look at some of the tracks we have all 3DS tracks coming up for the second semifinal. We have Music Park, Neo, Bowser City, DK Jungle, and Rosalina's Ice World.
I'm going to say it straight. Our production has tried to talk to us, and I didn't hear it.
I believe they're doing a raffle right now.
A raffle out in the arena? Or do we have a camera on that, or are we doing that back here?
They're just kind of doing it.
We're doing it back here. Do you want to do that now? No, after the next group? Word.
Okay.
All right. We got there. So,
delayed raffle.
We have one more group coming your way, one more heat to determine the final 2 players in our grand finals. So, with exciting stories behind these players, Helen, like you said, very much just squeezing into this group, now looking to prove themselves in this last Grand Prix.
Indeed, the Baby Mario out again for Isaiah, and the Iggy, of course, for Jonah, the tried and trues, gonna be here on this next map here, and already seeing the Chain Chomps getting active here and missing the ramps already. No one going for the shortcuts just yet on this next round.
Yeah, and one thing we saw with the last Grand Prix that Helen was in, at first struggled with a lot of those sharp turns because of it can be difficult to manage the speed, and especially with the vehicle they chose, those turned pretty sharp.
Isaiah, the first one to get squished twice by a music note. Brutal there. That's going to widen the gap between them and Helen, as, you know, those music notes can provide you with a little trick there to get some speed, but if they squish you, that can be a detriment.
Absolutely, and now Jonah starting to, again, widen the gap, but Helen the one in second place in this sort of 3-stack setup you see on your mini-map. Pretty equal distances separating these 3 players between their respective positions. So, first race, right, sort of setting the standards for the rest of this Grand Prix, and right now, Helen starting to lose ground, actually does lose ground, fall to 3rd place, and Isaiah the one to start clawing back with a star power and triple mushrooms.
Yeah, that was a big closure there from Isaiah, able to get the golden mushroom with made up a lot of ground, of course, and able to fly over a big section of the music notes bouncing, which is going to allow less tricks, but you are going to fly over a lot of the danger as well that was posed on that second lap, and getting triple mushrooms as well in second is going to be much better than an invincibility star for Helen in 3rd. It's going to widen that gap.
Yeah, had a little bit of trouble there managing the star power, ran into some walls, and now you kind of had to use 2 items, like use 1 mushroom to get out of being hit before, and then using the star power to try and make up that ground. And now she gets another one. Gonna try to use that and close the gap. Kind of have to hope that Isaiah makes a mistake here.
Yeah, I want to take a moment to point out that Jonah just crossed the finish line. That is the distance between 1st and 2nd place, as now Helen, the final one to cross that same line, Isaiah coming all the way back from 3rd place. I say that as if 2nd and 3rd are very far away, but in a race with 3 people and that level of separation, a great effort from Isaiah to stay in it and claw all the way back to 2nd place and get, once again, twice the amount of points that he would have gotten in 3rd. That's the unforgiving nature of this point spread.
Yeah, and Iggy and Baby Mario here, Jonah and Isaiah, they also played in round 1. Who came out on top that round through? Was it Isaiah, or did Jonah make the upset there?
Jonah did make the upset. Jonah came out.
All right, so Iggy is actually favored here going into the semifinal over Isaiah. So that's interesting, even though 2 still advance. So, you know, really here you're just not fighting for last. But it's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, and on the last track, we saw a lot of driving into walls, and this is a really tough track if you struggle with those turns.
You're absolutely right. Neo Bowser City does not have many walls, or has some pretty overwhelming turns that don't have walls. So we'll see if it comes to bite any of these players, as this is a very windy map, which I would think favors cars like Iggy's, like Peachette's, as we take some of these tight turns around, parts like these where Iggy is right now. And perfect execution there from Jonah to avoid any trouble. But plenty of race left to see if it causes problems later down the line.
Yeah, I do feel Peachette has struggled a bit with the really tight turns. I mean, the bike just seems like it's so fast, especially when we were back on the maps with the lava on them. It's hard to control around those really tight turns here, and pulling a triple mushroom already. I mean, speed around these turns is something that can be difficult to navigate, as they do avoid the defensive green shell there. But is going to remain in second place here with a boomerang in the back as well. Isaiah gonna have to catch up with the mushrooms, but still, Helen is in their sights.
Yeah, and it's tough to find a time to actually use those mushrooms on a track like this. So you're gonna wait for either those straightaways, or you're gonna probably just use it out of making a mistake if you fall off or if you hit the wall using them there.
Bullet Bill on our screen, top left corner. This is what we were talking about. Does he opt to hold on to this? Does he think his driving can just outperform it? It can't. With a mushroom from Bowsette, he will opt to use it, and just like that, claw all the way back, hit Bowsette on the way, and pull ahead into second place.
And I have to agree with it, because on the third lap here, when you see the triple mushroom as well coming out for Isaiah, you have to assume that this, latter half of this track, you're just going to be ahead in that department. But Helen has two mushrooms of their own.
Yeah, great turn there from Isaiah to not fall into the map, and Bowsette does, so Helen falls late and pays the price of Peachette, excuse me, as we see now finish lines being crossed. Peachette once again now in last place after a last-minute mistake.
Yeah, and that's going to keep the scoreboard more the same, which is just more and more dangerous for Helen. After a mostly second place race there, Isaiah was struggling, especially in that second half, but kind of gets bailed out with the Bullet Bill, choosing to hold it for just a little bit before ripping it and then having the triple mushroom to back it up with. That's going to be a dangerous combo, one that's hard to surpass, and Helen does not do so. As we move into the penultimate race here in the second round, it's going to be DK Jungle.
Good word.
Thank you.
And going into this third track, we're now in the territory of a first place is needed for Helen, almost.
Yeah, again, a similar situation to what we saw Alejandro in just one heat ago, but where we saw, windows of opportunity for Wayne to fall to last in the form of DLC maps. Really haven't seen much weaknesses from either Jonah or Isaiah, and now's the time where you got to find them, right? It's, and maybe it's not you that has to find them. Maybe it's Jonah and Isaiah that have to find them the hard way. And you just have to be there ready to execute, ready for your opportunity. And right now, Helen is doing exactly that, in first place, and right now controlling the controllables, and that's really all you can do in this position.
Yeah, I would argue this track is much more open, and I think that's actually going to be advantageous for Helen. I think that they are struggling more with these tight maps that have a lot of walls. When you have kind of more space to navigate on the track is a bit wider. I think Helen has actually been more thriving in that environment. Someone like Baby Mario for Isaiah, I think he does better on the close quarters tracks where it's less dangerous to get hit by things.
And the separation now from Helen from the rest of the pack means that this sort of fist fighting that we're seeing between Isaiah and Jonah is just putting them further and further behind. So while that's good news for Helen, that also means that better items are going to work their way into the mix. The separation from first place means that maybe both of these players are going to start drawing bullet bills and lightning strikes and other forms of high-powered items, high-value items, if Helen is able to maintain this distance or expand this distance.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough here as both players behind Helen are gaining up the track. Not many items on the floor. We do have a green shell, which is kind of being used for defense right now. One flies by Isaiah. Not going to do much. Couple mushrooms on the track. Now, both players in second and third are very bunched up and not that far behind first place.
Yeah, Helen has not even been insanely clean. They've actually hit quite a few patches of grass here on these turns, but I think it's that max coins and the fact that Peachet's bike certainly seems to have a higher speed, the highest speed out of any car on this track. It certainly seems that way, that even with those small mistakes, the gap is shortening, sure, but just not enough.
Yeah, and again, it all snowballs too, because the infighting from Jonah and Isaiah has mean that they've been losing coins. Isaiah's been able to keep up, but Jonah sitting at 0 coins is going to put him in last place here. So again, a snowball effect from the start of the race means that Peachet finds their way all the way up to first and now has tied second place. And this next map will be a decider.
That is indeed the most interesting outcome, as Helen diving from the depths to the skies with the Peachet here. That DK track looked like a practice track for Helen. I mean, just absolutely flying and never got caught up to. The coin differential was excellent. Never getting blue shell, red shell, just always having the bananas. Getting the lead early almost seems like everything in these 3-person races because of exactly what you're talking about with second and third having to dogfight in order to just not get that 1 point for the race.
Yeah, and I believe when it comes to the 2 6-point players, it's just whoever finishes ahead of the other person.
It is, yeah. I mean, this is the last track, so I mean, this is gonna be it. Whoever places higher.
Strictly speaking, though, with a point differential of 9, 6, and 6, first place getting 4 points, last place getting 1. If Jonah has another last place finish here, one of the other racers has to come in first, and that would put a sudden death between Jonah and whoever comes in first here. So for wait, is that right? Can that be right?
No, because I think if they tie at 10,
if a
tie happens, I think the other person can't get enough points to.
They would be tied for first, so we wouldn't need a sudden death because they would both be.
Yeah, they would just both be.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep. They would tie though. You're right.
Fair enough. So we load into this last map, a Mario Galaxy-esque map, as you see the I forget what that's called. The Star
Asteroid?
No, what's the ship called in Mario Galaxy?
I just thought it was the ship.
Is it really? Does it not have a
find this
proper name?
I mean, I played the Galaxy games. I don't remember if it has a name.
Yeah, maybe. Well, anyway.
Starship, something like that.
Don't know. See a land ship. I'm not really seeing anything.
All right, fair enough. Well, we see Rosalina's ship from Mario Galaxy 1 on the right next to the finish line. So some nice scenery here, but a very cold-looking map with ice in play. Should not affect the driving, but you see down at the bottom, Helen's still sort of struggling with some of these turns, struggling to deal with some of the speed from her own car, especially with these mushrooms. And now, still in third place and in the grass, not where you'd like to be going into the last lap.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Helen struggles with these narrow tracks. It seems like when the track is wide and they're able to maintain top speed without running into the barriers, that's when Helen really starts to pull away. Jonah actually has been the leader of this track. Let's see, what is it?
The Comet Observatory.
I would not have gotten there.
So anyway, yeah, the Comet Observatory making an appearance on this map as Jonah has once again put himself in a position to succeed, only needing to now maintain it. With the Super Horn in second place, opts to get rid of it, thinking he cannot make up the ground off of his driving alone with such short track left, but no more item boxes means he won't get another opportunity, and it will be Isaiah cementing his way into the final Grand Prix, surpassing Helen in the tie, and unfortunately sending Helen home without a finals appearance.
Yeah, I mean, Jonah and Isaiah have looked really solid. Definitely the more consistent players, look more comfortable over a wide spread of maps. So those two are going to be joining Tessa and Wayne in our final Grand Prix. But before we get to the final Grand Prix, I believe we have a raffle to do. Moss, I don't know if we are going to kick it off with you with the cup here. draw something? A little something,
Oh,
something?
you want me to go ahead and just draw?
yeah.
I'll go
It's
ahead
my
and draw.
understanding that we're going to pull 3 names. I believe the people out in the arena can probably hear us. Hi, everybody. And we're going to pull names, maybe wait a second between names so that they can do whatever they need to do out there. But we're going to pull 3 names, so maybe we'll each pull a name.
Yeah, we can each pull one.
There you go. I like that.
All right, let me shake
So
it
our
up a little
first
bit
winner,
here.
our
The cup's
first
even
raffle winner.
labeled raffle. That's nice.
I mean,
Oh, yeah,
that
would you look at
is
that?
organization
That's
right.
right.
there. Shout out to the esports event management class for
Would've
preparing
had no
this
knowledge
cup
of this.
for this raffle. That's great forward thinking.
All right, we want to get a drum roll going on here for the first name to be drawn. Dig around a little bit in there. Make sure I have only one. We are going to take it. And no name, but we got some numbers.
Okay, word.
The number
Looks
is...
like the number is going to be 920346. 920346. That is the first number. That is the first ticket. Somebody's really happy out there. They're so excited.
Who got it?
Somebody,
going to
hopefully.
pass the cup out over
and
here.
if nobody
I'll leave
did,
the-
somebody better come back here and tell us to pull another ticket.
Yeah,
but
if
we're
we're
going
doing
to
this
proceed
wrong, you know.
otherwise.
Kind of just going off the cuff
I do
right now.
believe we're going for another one. I don't...
We've not been told otherwise.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to pull in another number. Here it comes. They're SpongeBob themed.
That is electric.
920345.
Oh,
345. 346 and 345 have been pulled. Looks like that's going to be the lucky range there. We'll see if it keeps up.
You said 346 and 345.
Yeah.
So am I going to pull 347 or 344?
I think it
gotta
should
be
go
one of those.
344 since it's been high to low so far.
Fair enough.
That
All
is
right.
fair.
Well, I guess we'll
344.
have
If
to
you don't get
find
pulled,
out.
I'd consider yourself unlucky, actually.
Statistically speaking,
Statistically unlucky.
you would be unlucky in that
Although
scenario.
it is a 50-50, you either get pulled or you don't. So it is.
Yeah,
That's
it's definitely,
statistics
that's
right there.
definitely statistics right there. Yeah.
All right, I have mixed them up as much as I can. I will now reach in without looking at a random ticket. 920335.
Whoa, a big gap.
A massive gap.
Massive gap.
Wow,
So
that's
Statistically unlucky now.
apologies to 44 for that.
Yeah.
I didn't step up to the moment. That's on me.
But congratulations to 335, 346, and 345. I hope you won something grand.
Yeah, and I hope whatever you won is out in the arena being given to you now because it's not going to come from us. So, congratulations. And congratulations to our players for making it to the finals as we prepare for this last stretch, expecting the same characters, right? We've got the pink Shy Guy, the purple Inkling, as well as now Iggy and Baby Mario from these last heats. So, if you've been watching along, you know that these have been extremely talented Mario Kart players and certainly some of the best that we've seen from the start of the day, earning their way all the way to this final spot. And now, one more group to beat.
Yeah, I think it's fair if we all take a gander of who we think will win the event management Mario Kart final Grand Prix. Does anyone here think it won't be Tessa? I think Tessa is the favorite in my eyes.
It's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to argue against that, given that Tessa in 8 races out of 8 has finished first place.
Yeah.
Period.
It's, winning the first group that they were in with 20 points.
I mean, there's
did
the
not
argument that
necessarily
Jonah and Isaiah have always been in the same group. So
That's true.
is there better competition there? Maybe so. This is gonna be the first time that Tessa has seen either Isaiah or Jonah, and then Wayne coming into the mix as well. I think if we see a certain type of track, Wayne can really thrive. I think he struggled with the diverse, especially DLC tracks.
You're absolutely right. And the one thing sort of holding me back from jumping on the Jonah train as well is that we did see a last place finish in that last heat. That's something that we haven't even seen Tessa come close to. Now, again, you raise a good point that they've played against different players and you can only play against who you play against. But, Tessa making the most of their opportunities and not really leaving any doubt in their own performance. Jonah still cementing himself as the leader of both of the groups that he's played in so far, but I'm just not sure that anyone has matched the dominance that Tessa has shown so far.
Yeah, and with these players, we have what I believe is the first seed in Isaiah, the second seed in Tessa, and Jonah coming in at the 6th seed, and Wayne coming in at the 4th seed. So, bit of an upset there based off seeding with Jonah getting in. Now, we can take a look at these tracks that we're about to play. They are all Wii tracks.
Which is interesting.
I love Wii tracks.
Yeah, because I don't believe they are all DLC tracks.
I don't think so.
Some of the base game Mario Kart 8 still has tracks from previous games. I'm not sure. I think
it's DK Summit is the one that's
DK
base game.
Summit is base game.
I know Coconut Mall, which we're about to load into, my favorite track of all time. This one is DLC.
Yes.
So this is going to be very interesting. Now, I feel like all these players should know Coconut Mall. Most players do, even if they haven't really played DLC for this game.
I would hope so, just for our culture and our generation, that everyone has experienced Coconut Mall more than once. But yes, strictly speaking, this was a map that was added to Mario Kart 8 post-release. So maybe a little bit less familiar with it, maybe just out of practice. I don't remember if this map is the exact same as it was in the Wii.
I'm pretty sure it's exact. It is the exact same. I think the only difference might be in these cars. Okay.
The cars might be different.
Yeah, the cars I think are like the only thing that's somewhat different.
Yes, theirs are definitely different.
And just like some of the visuals look a little different.
That's
but
pretty much it.
Yeah, I noticed two big differences. The first is the cars. In the Wii, the cars would move back and forth, which meant you had to predict when they would move into your pathing. And then the second big difference that I'm seeing is the escalators. They show you very vividly which one is the up escalator, whereas in Mario Kart Wii you had to determine it based on the stairs. It was a bit tricky to tell the difference.
It's true, but something I know it for sure is not different is this song, man. What a bang. What a good one. But analyzing what we're seeing on our screens right now, Jonah just about half a map ahead, maybe a quarter map ahead from the rest of the pack, and Tessa for the first time in last place past lap 1. So a very different pace so far from these players, as Tessa's struggling to get things rolling here, and Jonah very, very comfortably in the lead.
Yeah, Tessa had a rough start running into the side of an escalator and losing a lot of time. And on a 4-player race like this one, I mean, maybe we're going to see some better items to make up some ground. And is going to pass 2 players right there. Wayne and Isaiah getting passed by Tessa in the last lap here.
Yeah, a Rogue Red Shell passing right by. And one thing I've noticed is that Tessa seemed to have very good track knowledge on every other Grand Prix that they've played. Maybe not so much here, but it doesn't matter. That gold mushroom going to get them into second place. All 3 players very bunched up, trying to avoid these cars going into the last stretch. Star power not going to be enough to get into second place. Tessa going to secure second place. Isaiah following in 4th. Wayne taking 3rd.
That felt so illegal to me. The fact that Tessa had the golden mushroom, came off that ramp, missed the double item box. So the other 2 players had items to close that gap at the end on that last turn. We saw the star power come out, narrowly avoided by Tessa. But with no item, Tessa just outright outdrove those 2 players. That's a crazy finish to me.
Yeah, I mean, that golden mushroom was crazy for Isaiah, and it just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So, highway.
Kind of just saw the star, took the star power and kind of barreled into the wall next to him.
All right, who's riding up the right side ramp here? Oh, and the burnout for Tessa to start off the match is now the 3rd one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a scary trend again. This is certainly not the time you'd like to have that come back and bite you, but so far has not bit Tessa yet. And it looks like it won't, as, again, already catching up to the pack, not only catching up to the pack, but surpassing the rest of the group. Drawing a coin, unfortunately, there, and is forced to fall all the way back to 4th off of a bad item draw.
Yeah, and I believe, if I remember correctly, this is a DLC map.
Yes.
Which means track knowledge going to be a huge thing coming up for these players. Now, second place, Tessa has a mushroom. If we take a look at the coins, there are 2 players with 0 coins. Gonna have to make up a little bit of that.
Oh, and immediately into the taxi after taking the ramp.
Yeah, tough break there from Tessa. I like the aggression. Again, the map knowledge. And a bomb car struck by Jonah. Tessa caught in the mix, but Wayne sort of trying to make his way up to the front off of the missteps from the opponents, and a bomb catches 3. The separation from Jonah now starting to build once again, and that could be a problem for the rest of these racers.
Yeah, that bomb was so huge for Jonah. Gonna be able to get a nice lead here, and now you get to navigate the cars without the other players kind of blocking your path. You can kind of see where you have to drive and where you want to stay away from. That's taking a very tight turn there. Jonah navigating the track very well, knowing that the cars have to stay in the middle of these lanes. If you can keep that tight corner, you'll be all right.
Yeah, Tessa got hit by a shell on the way up the ramp. A disastrous break there for Tessa. Fortunate enough to come out with 3 mushrooms to somewhat mitigate the damage, but Tessa still in 4th place. 3 red shells for Wayne, and throws 2 of them, and 1 of them's going for Jonah. So, not sure if it'll be enough for this 1st place, 2nd place gap to close, as now Wayne finds himself again all the way back in 4th.
Hasn't even had to use his bananas.
The tightness of these last 3 racers overwhelming, as Tessa once again squeaks ahead, and with an extra mushroom to spare, solidifies 2nd place for the 2nd race in a row. But Jonah, the one absolutely dominating this group through 2 races.
How does that happen? I mean, the 2nd place getting squeaked by Tessa again, and then Wayne running into a bomb car right at the end at 3rd place, but it catches Isaiah too. So Wayne squeaks out 3rd. Wow. I mean, these players, especially in 2nd, these players that were in 2nd through 4th that entire track were always like clumped after that first bomb car hit all 3 of them, and Jonah just never was able to even have his lead threatened. He had 2 red shells come at him and had 2 bananas, did not use either banana, simply navigated the red shells that they would run into walls instead. I mean, what an excellent maneuver from them. Moving on to DK Summit here, yet another track where we can jump some gaps. Yet another track where we get a burnout from Tessa. Not sure if we should be going for those at this point. Might be a bit, that timing might be a bit too difficult.
Maybe it's a strategy thing.
Maybe it is strategy.
Maybe it's a strategy thing.
Maybe you get that 4th place item. Maybe that's enough to make up the gap. I don't know.
Maybe you're just setting the other players' expectations low, and then you just come back, because Tessa seems to keep catching fire on the last lap of the race every single time.
Yeah, but unfortunately, in this group, right, this is no longer top 2 advance. This is top 1 wins, and 2 1st place finishes from Jonah mean that 1st place is dangerously close to being locked.
Yeah.
With another strong performance from Jonah. Snipe there from Tessa with the green shell on an angle there. Both players drifting. Great, just fundamental Mario Kart there from these players.
Yeah, that was lethal. That stuck Jonah in 3rd now. Going to draw the triple reds, and no bananas on the side of Wayne. He's just going to get pelted by 1 and 2. Ooh. It has the iframe, so not going to lose too much time there. But what it really means is that Tessa doesn't have to deal with 2 red shells, only has to deal with the 1.
And I want to correct myself from earlier. This is a DLC map.
Oh, okay.
This came in the 4th wave of the booster course. So far, all DLC maps in this final Grand Prix.
Yet Wayne in 1st for the first time on a DLC map.
Yeah, changing the narrative around himself right now after struggling through his first 2 groups. Tessa almost falls into the group, into the void there, but able to maintain their position. And once again, around this last turn, a full lap to go, but look at the minimap. These players, where through the first 2 maps, there was significant separation between 1st and 2nd place. All of these players very much in the running to finish anywhere in this race.
Yeah, and if Jonah going to be vying for that second spot, because if they're able to get it, it keeps that gap in score. Couple items coming through, kind of leaning on those mushrooms, going into the final stretch of this track.
And Jonah is having a brutal stretch here. He's going for these double item boxes, and it's just getting them stolen. He's been at the back of the pack ever since that green shell snipe from Tessa, and Tessa's just been in front since. I mean, that was such a critical change of pace. Wayne has fallen behind as well from when he was in 1st, and this group of 3 sticking together. Tessa is going to squeak out the 1st place, and Jonah is going to get last.
Oh, wow, and a narrow photo finish there from Wayne and Isaiah. Isaiah, I believe, coming in 2nd there. So Man, what a flip of the script. Tessa still consistently at the top. Second place now. First place finish. But again, for the second group in a row, we see Jonah fall to last on the third map.
And that was what you talked about, Chris. You're like, Jonah's the only one that has gotten last so far from this top cut and takes another last at DK Summit. That may be the difference maker for Tessa. We go on to Rainbow Road here. We don't have any players that have been too get off the map heavy. We have a lot of very control-based carts here in our finals. So hopefully we don't see too much craziness off the map here. But Lakitu will carry you back. It's not too punishing, but I mean, these players have been so close to each other. Whoever gets the lead first has seemed to have held it, at least up until the DK Summit.
Yeah, and if you're Isaiah or Wayne, you need Tessa and Jonah to finish in third and fourth place.
Yeah.
This is the track that will decide whether or not the last track is the winner for all of them, or just between, Jonah and Tessa.
Tessa falling off the map there. Same thing with Wayne. Tessa still managing to stay in second place, though, which is very impressive, given that they fell off the map. But Jonah, look at the mini-map. Starting to build that separation already, and that's been the story of this whole day. Whoever can build separation first, no matter at what point in the race, doesn't matter if it's at in the middle of the first lap or at the end of the second lap, whoever can build a noticeable separation doesn't seem to lose it. 3 red shells heading Jonah's way, but not going to be enough, again, to close this gap in any meaningful way.
Man, Jonah just getting pelted by red shells there, but thankfully he had some iframes to save him in a small capacity and has not lost the lead, which is incredible, especially thinking that he only had coins there to defend himself, which of course does nothing. So just has to tank the red shells, and the Iggy has not faltered since that DK Summit track. And if he does score the first place here, that will be enough to secure the whole thing.
Yeah, and I'm very curious. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but would a Jonah first place finish, Tessa second place finish, give it to Tessa off of 3 second place finishes and first place finish over 3 first place finishes and a fourth place finish?
I think
hard to say.
They're both at 11, no?
I didn't see.
I think I'm like 99% sure they're both at 11. So whoever, if one of them takes first, the other takes second. It's whoever took first. Whoever ends up taking first.
Well, there you go. This is the final track, and Jonah has looked elite. Just look at the gap between first and second here on your mini-map. We see a Piranha Plant for the first time since the first round coming through for Tessa, who is now in 4th place and eats a green shell right when the Piranha Plant runs out.
Yeah, might not matter here as Tessa now again with a massive gap. And I did the math. A first place finish here for Jonah, I believe, would solidify it over a second place finish from Tessa. So even that falling Jonah's way, and with, again, look at the map. Nobody has even jumped that huge gap until now. Wayne is just getting there. Jonah a few turns ahead of that already, and making this last turn now toward the finish line to potentially win this whole thing.
Yeah, this is over. The defensive banana comes out from Jonah, and he's going to squeak the finish line with a huge lead. Wayne is not even around the last bend before the Iggy takes it home.
How about it? One more bullet bill from Tessa to try and make up the ground lost, but too little too late. 4th place finish in the last race means Jonah will be the one on the Iggy with 16 points to solidify first place in their final heat and in the tournament as a whole, and walk away our Mario Kart champion.
And how poetic that Isaiah and Wayne have tied for third place, so we will have to move to a sudden death to determine the bronze medal. What a way to end it.
You'll never hear me complain about more Mario Kart, and especially if we get to see our sudden death structure here, as Tessa will cement second place, regardless of the results of this next race. But we do have to determine a third place winner here, or a third place finisher here, and we will have one more race to do exactly that.
Yeah, and if you've played Mario Kart, you know that the top 3 finishers, they get the Bill Podium Dance Celebration. So it's a very coveted spot, this 3rd place.
It's true. There's a lot on the line, and I don't know what the map will be. Mario Circuit from the Flower Cup. So just about as basic as it gets, right? This is fundamental Mario Kart right here that will be a strict 1v1, no bots, no extracurriculars. We're just going to play, we're going to play some Mario Kart
We're
right
throwing
here.
hands.
And I think that one of the most important things in a 1v1 is what items you get while in first place.
Yeah.
If you get bananas, you can't be red shelled. And you're just like constantly getting boxes before your opponent gets them. You can look behind you and try to steal the item box that the person directly behind you is trying to get. So if you're drawing coins in first place, even if you are a better driver, it may not mean anything.
Man, I mean, this next race, the scary thing is, could absolutely be decided in the first 15 seconds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how this race is going to go. And as we are preparing to select the map, again, Mario Circuit, the first map of the second cup, a map that we have not seen yet today, but also a base game map here, as this map was basically the introduction to zero gravity aspects in Mario Kart 8, right? You see this whole track, or at least an overwhelming majority of the track, you'll see the players' wheels turn sideways and blue because they are floating.
I actually wonder if Wayne had to randomly draw for starting in first here, as Isaiah passes him immediately. But I just noticed that Wayne actually did start in first place. I wonder if that was a random draw to begin with.
Oh!
As gets sniped by a green shell, Wayne takes the lead.
Okay, and another factor to keep in mind, who can hang on to their coins? Who can get to 10 coins first? Because if Wayne ignores his coins from here on out, and Isaiah is forced to play the long game, right? We see the red shell banana trade here, but if Isaiah's going to get more coins, which right now he does, this could add up quickly over the course of this race.
Yeah, and Isaiah does get the mushroom here, but Wayne is holding the green shell. I wonder if he will try to use this offensively if Isaiah passes him, but he always has the defensive maneuver just in case Isaiah does draw a red shell and uses the mushroom on a not optimal shortcut, draws the red shell, and the green shell is going to be used defensively, but Isaiah is catching up. Wayne does have the maximum coins, though.
Yes, so... he gets hit by a piranha plant! Disaster strikes for Wayne and Isaiah, the one to pull ahead now with 9 coins. Again, the speed to maintain this lead and 2 mushrooms to take shortcuts if he knows where they are. But 2 mushrooms have been used on straightaways. Inefficient use of mushrooms could come back to bite him the longer this goes, but the fire flower will go wide as well, and a mushroom on hand for Wayne. Does he know where he can use them? Oh, maybe forced to use one there just to make up the grass driving.
This is crazy, Chris. This item management is just off the charts here, and these guys just have to grasp at straws to try to catch one another. The defensive banana is online for Isaiah, but Wayne does not have a red shell yet. Will he draw one here? No, it's going to be a green shell, but he can snipe Isaiah if he aims it properly.
Off the wall, not quite. All right, so Isaiah avoids some trouble there, but again, some serious separation, and a green shell shot backwards. What a shot from Isaiah, separating the pack, turning on the final stretch, avoids one last banana, and with no items from Wayne, Isaiah will secure 3rd place.
As photographic of a finish as you could get, the baby Mario takes home the bronze. These two were battling it out. First, second. The items were flying. The shortcuts were not utilized. The coins getting chomped by the piranha plant. I mean, this final had everything you could ask for.
The backwards green shell, the forwards green shell. I mean, wow! I love the decision making there at the end, especially after I was confused from some of the decision making early on. Ultimately, Isaiah, the one to put a dagger in it and put the nail in the coffin and solidify 3rd place off of his own means.
Yeah, neither player trying to take any risk that last track, and what a snipe! That backwards green shell absolutely secured that 1st place in that tiebreaker. Wow. Just no words right there.
That was so beautiful to witness. It's been such a great event, you guys. I mean, what a wonderful Mario Kart tournament that the esports event management class has put on. It's been an absolute just baller, an absolute photo finish sudden death final, but it is indeed going to be Jonah taking it all home with the Iggy. So congratulations to them, and thank you to everyone from all across campus who participated in such a wonderful event.
Yes, and I believe we have some rewards here for our winners with, as you said, Jonas taking away first place very commandingly all throughout his path, walking away with a Pizza Hut free ultimate bundle for first place. Congratulations to him. And then second place for Tessa on the Pink Shy Guy, walking away with a Chick-fil-A gift bag. Congratulations. And then... let's see, third place.
Which Isaiah just secured.
Which Isaiah just competed for. Walking away, let's see if I can decipher this. Walking away with...
is it a free 40-pack of water?
From Country Market. How about it?
Or no, that's the third place is McDonald's.
Oh, no, excuse me. Yeah.
I got distracted by the 40-pack of water. I'm like, what?
That's hilarious. Yeah, third place, walking away with some McDonald's gift cards as well as some Jersey Mike's gift cards. So... congratulations to Isaiah earning it there at the end. How about it? I mean, that came down to the wire, but some winners walking away with some goodies thanks to our partner sponsors for working with event management on this.
I do believe Wayne earned a free 40-pack of water.
Yeah,
I believe he was fighting for the McDonald's prize and earned himself some hydration. How beautiful is that?
No, that's a need. You know what I'm saying? That's a need right there.
That is a need. Well, how about it? A lot of fun here tonight. I know I had a lot of fun. I think these guys had a lot of fun. I certainly hope everybody out in the arena had a lot of fun, regardless of where you may have finished in the tournament. Shout out to our esports event management class again for putting this all on and having us here to talk over it a little bit. But I think that does it for us. Anything more you guys want to say before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I mean, it's just an incredible event, as always, from the event management class. Only 6 people in this class, and yet did an incredible amount of marketing. I want to say that Griffin said they had about 40, 50 entrants into this Mario Kart tournament. I mean, I know when I did this event management class, it is very difficult to market and get people to participate in these kind of things, so it is excellent to see the kind of turnout and the obviously excellent level of Mario Kart that we were able to witness today. It really took a lot of work from them, so I'm sure Chase is very proud of his class.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not often you get a chance to cast Mario Kart.
That's
so
true.
Thank you to the event management class for the opportunity to do so. It was an absolute blast.
Yeah, this was a first for me as well, and I certainly hope we can maybe do more of this in the future. But that'll do it for us. Thank you so much for everybody that came. If you're watching live, be sure to drop us a follow on whatever platform you're watching on, so you don't miss out on any of the fun stuff we do around here, including our varsity esports competition that we stream every week. You won't want to miss some of that. So I'm Chris Clayton. This is Avery Gieseman. That is Brennan Moss. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a ton of fun, and we will see you next time.